Yo friends, happy fall. Finally, I feel like summer was hanging on for a long time and then fall just hit overnight for us. It's getting pretty cold again, and so I'm starting to do some work getting ready for winter. Specifically, today I am working on my drug empire, Breaking Bad style. I am trying to grow all of the caffeine that I will need throughout the year here in my backyard. While I love coffee, processing it from bean to like roasting and everything takes a ton of work and machinery to do it well that I don't have. However, growing tea, black tea, green tea, etc., is something that I can do in my kitchen. So I am planting a bunch of tea plants, Camellia sinensis, and those plants I can take the leaves and turn those leaves into a variety of different types of tea. So this is a baby tea plant here. Its leaves are what you'll use to make the tea, so you'll harvest the leaves, preferably the young leaves in the spring. This will hopefully someday grow to be a bush that I can trim to be about maybe 3, 4, 5 feet tall and wide, and I have them planted pretty densely here in a row. Now for me, the hardest part about this has been figuring out where to grow them. We're right on the northern edge of their range. I know that they grow here. There's a guy essentially down the road who's been growing tea plants for a couple years now with great success. So I know they grow here, but I lost almost all of my tea plants last year because I grew them where I wanted them to be, but I don't think it was the right conditions. I don't think those plants wanted to be there. So now what I've done is planted these tea plants on 3 different parts of my property, and I think between those 3 parts at least one of them will have success. This is the area that I have the most hope for. I have a row of 5 tea plants back here. Now to prep this, what I did, this is a fairly steep slope, so I wanted something that would retain the soil and the mulch, and also maybe help slow down water and retain a little water here. So I have been pollarding this black locust tree. So this, you can see here the mini stump of a long, a long pole that was coming out of this tree. And because black locust is fairly rot resistant, I turned these into stakes. So I cut them to length, I pounded them into the ground as much as I could, and then I've been piling brush up along them here. I'm gonna come in and fill all this even with more wood chips, so I'll have a nice, basic, simple little wall here. I think it'll do it enough. I think it'll do the job I need it to do, and I can always buy supplies and go more hardcore if I need to. Why I have the most hope for this location is because I think my tea plants died last year because it was a cold winter. I had them planted in the front yard, right near the road. I wanted this row of evergreen shrubs separating the yard from the road, but they didn't want to grow there. So instead I moved them far back here on this north-facing slope. I've noticed that this slope gets an absolute ton of sun in the winter. I'm uncomfortable standing here with this jacket on, this light jacket on, and yet if I walk 100 feet that way, standing in the shade, I almost want a heavier coat on. So this gets a ton of sun, and the slope and these trees here behind me capture the warmth from the sun and send it down right here where I'm growing these tea. So it's the northern end of the range, but it's the sunniest and warmest winter spot I have in the location. Another great benefit here is this beautiful oak tree. This oak tree casts a lot of shade in this spot during the summer. I don't think I would be able to successfully grow tomatoes here, for example. It casts a little bit too much shade. However, with these tea plants, you want them to be shaded during the growing season, spring and summer, because it forces the plants to put more energy into their leaves to maximize photosynthesis because they're not getting enough sunlight. So you're going to get better tea from them. So this location is sunny and warm in the winter and shaded, but not, overly crowded shaded, lightly shaded in the summer and spring. Now here's my experiment. They say typically you don't want to move. These are, first year seedlings. I put seeds in the ground maybe 6-9 months ago. They say you typically don't want to put these first year seedlings, leave them out for their first winter. Ideally, I would bring these inside and plant them in their permanent location in the spring. I just have quite a few of these seedlings and don't really have that much room in my house. So we'll have some that will go and spend the winter indoors, and I put some outside now to see how. And right now I have 3 different planting methods. All of them, I layered some leaf compost down here, planted them in the leaf compost, and mulched well around them to retain moisture. And I have 3 different methods for overwintering them. 4 different methods. Method 1 is just leaving the plants as they are in this sunny location and see what happens. Method 2 is putting a tree tube around the plants. These typically act like a little bit of a greenhouse. I want to see, is this enough of a greenhouse to keep this plant over winter? Method number 3, I think, is the strongest method, and this is to make a pseudo greenhouse out of some floating row cover fabric, so it's breathable. Air will pass through. I won't have to worry about like venting it like I would if I used greenhouse plastic over this. But I think this will retain the most amount of heat during the cold evenings. The third method, fourth method, is to place this large rock. This is actually fairly warm to the touch right now, almost uncomfortable, and it's right next to this plant, so it will slowly release its heat overnight and then collect it again during the daylight hours. So this plant might be kept warmer overnight than the plants over here without the rock. I think I'm also going to put a stone inside the, I don't know what to call this shed thing, this greenhouse thing. So that will be really extra protected, and we'll see if it can. To make this, I just have a post back here, and then some like chicken wire or fencing that I made a big circle out of, and then I took the fabric over here and I tied it on to the bottom really well. So I'm also going to come in and cover all around it with wood chips to make sure there's no airflow in and out, especially because this is such a small plant. I don't want air flowing in and out and disrupting it. From what I've read, I shouldn't need to do this every year. Once these get established in a couple of years here, they should be just fine, especially in a warm, sunny winter location like this. So this is just to get them through that infancy. Processing tea can be pretty easy. From what I've read and tried my hand at a little bit, is that green tea is the easiest. You have to harvest the right leaves at the right time, and then you're essentially just drying it. When you do things like black tea and oolong, you are oxidizing it more, which involves kind of like cooking it in a wok before drying it. There are instructions out there available, but it's something I should be able to do in my kitchen here at home. I love the blue sky. I need more sun like this time of year. Let me show you the 2 other locations I'm growing the tea plants, and we'll find out together in the spring who survives. The next location is right here. Just a few feet from where I lost all these tea plants last year. Super shaded right here by the road all winter long. Here we're back about 10 feet. I really want this to happen. I would just love a nice beautiful wall of evergreen, and so I'm hoping give it a second go here, hoping this works. That plant also obviously much more mature. I bought a couple-year-old plant, and so I think it has a stronger likelihood of making it through the winter. It's just a strong. Here too is a stronger plant. This one is right on the side of my house. This is the west side of my house. So it's just a little after noon. It's not really getting any sun right now, but once the sun comes here, it's going to get a ton of sun for a couple hours every day. And even in the winter, because it's far enough away from these trees which cast all that shade, and being right next to the house, I think this might retain some warmth for it. We'll see how this one does. I'll show you one other plant here, not a tea plant, but still a caffeinated. This is Yaupon holly and Ilex vomitorium, and this is a native plant, more towards the west, not really native to Pennsylvania, but a US native, that its leaves are also caffeinated. So we're gonna give this one a go and see how this does, see if this makes it through winter. This one made it through winter last year, although its sister did not. So I planted it a little further back from the road. Hopefully it gets a little bit more sun during the day. Hopefully it survives. Thanks for following along, friends. I'll try to remember to post an update video in the spring. Bug me if I don't. I am very happy to share with you who survived.